Well, hello, and very welcome. You're very welcome to another sew along or sew with me, the Sonata Dress by Love Notions. I promised myself all summer that I would make another one. So I've already got two and I wear them a lot. So they are amazing for when it's very, very hot, and we've had a stinker of a summer. So I hope you stick around and see the end product at the end and see what mistakes I made, because I did make some, and how I overcame them. And yeah, hang around and let's do it together. Yay! Come along with me and we will work together to lay out the pattern and make sure that the fabric is lined up correctly so that it's on the grain. First and foremost, very important for it to hang correctly, the garment. And I'll check back in with you. It's absolutely gorgeous fabric from the Dahlia Society, which I bought back in January. It's directional, and it's actually Lady McElroy, and it's called Retro Lifestyle, and it's a cotton lawn. So I'm looking at making a sonata dress, so I need to figure out how to lay out the pattern here. So isn't it stunning though? And it's very light. It's be perfect for a cool summer dress. So before I lay it out, just going to get all the pieces. So this is the skirt back, which you cut one on the fold, and it's got a built-in pocket. So if I'm running out of fabric, because I've only got 1.5 meters, if I run out of fabric, I might have to do a separate pocket. So that's the skirt back on the fold. Then here's the skirt front. Now I'm doing a C cup. So I've highlighted this because I've made this mistake before, whereby I need to remember to cut along that line there all the way down for the C cup, because that means we've got more fabric to gather into the front because of the bigger dart. So that's note to self. So I'm glad I've done that in a highlight, otherwise I might have forgotten. And again, it's on the fold and built-in pocket. We've also got the bodice front, and I've circled that. Now I do the C bodice, the C cup, because the very first one is a B cup. It's okay, but it is more comfortable with the C cup. So as you can see, it's a medium, and because it's a bigger bust dart and slightly bigger dart at the lower, this is all different down the bottom here. That's why we need extra space at the center, at the front skirt section. So we've got that. Then we've also got the facings. Now, depending if I put the facings, back facing cut 2 on the fold. So if I'm short of fabric, I might be able to do that in a different type of fabric. I prefer to do it in this fabric, but we see how we go. And the front facing is also cut 2 on the fold, and I've double checked these facings are the right size for the bodice that I'm using. So a lot of the fabrics, most patterns suggest that you join the selvages and just fold it in half. Selvages to be able to fit it into 1.5 and to get best use out of the fabric, I'm going to make the selvages meet in the middle. It might not be exactly in the middle, and to make sure that this is actually on the straight grain, so that when I cut it on the fold is correct. So what I'm doing is I'm lining up the selvage to the fold line and making sure that's the same length all the way along, or distance between the selvage and the fold line. And if it isn't, I need to adjust it slightly so it actually isn't. At the moment it's this is an inch ruler, so it's 15 and 3/4 there, and it's 15 and just over a half there, and up this end it's just about 15 and a half. So what that's telling me is I probably need to move it up this way just a fraction, because you can't always trust the cutting line where the fabric's been cut, because they might have had issues at the warehouse, or in this case at the Dahlia Society, they might have had issues whereby it didn't cut exactly straight. So you're kind of best to go by the selvage, line to make sure that that is that's your line that will make it accurate. So once again, I take it from that fluffy bit, so I'm measuring that up, and that is just over 16. Let's drop it down and see if we can get a better view of that. So just measuring this, now I've changed it up a little bit. So just starting from the fluffy side, that's right on 16 inches. So that's an easy one to remember. So let's see if that one's 16. So I've moved along about a foot. Now that's just on 16, perfect. Yes, 16. So that is the right distance. That's actually, I've jagged it. But just down this end piece, I need to just move that up slightly to make sure that is also 16, because this is going to be the skirt, the wider piece. That thinner piece will be the bodice. Now, noting that, as I mentioned earlier, it's directional. So I've got to cut this way. That's the fall of the skirt is like that. I can't have one up that way and one up that way. That's quite critical here. So that's not quite 16. So I will just adjust this until I get that to be accurate. Okay, I'm happy that's accurate now. So let's just get the skirt front. Now I've also got a note on here to add 2 inches at the bottom for my preferred length. Now I've already made my decision that I'm going to do the pockets separately, and they might end up a different colour or anything. So important to not always trust this line here, because underneath it's not exactly the same. So that is going to be correct there, and this has got to go all the way down at this level. Then it's got to be able to go out 2 inches. So that's where this one's going to sit. The other one, which is the skirt back, will be below that. So I will just go ahead and line these up now to my satisfaction. Now just coming to, I'm lining up or laying the pattern piece for the back, skirt back, and I've come to a problem. As mentioned, I need to extend this by 2 inches, but if I go to do that, let's get the ruler, if I go to do that on this line, it's going to run out of space. See that? Only just a bit. I have to go back to the beginning and move all of this fabric across about another 1/2 inch, because that's what I need here. It needs to go up to that 17, and it's only just on the line. I might be able to get it in, or maybe just 1/2 inch. So 16 and a half, I have to move it all again. So bear with me. Right, now I just need to get these dart lines onto the bodice top. So you might have seen me do this before. I'm just going to use some Burda copy paper, which I found in a second-hand shop, and I use it a lot for this purpose. So I will just position this and then run it over with the spiky wheel, and then I shall have that organised and ready to start sewing. It's got to have it so that the carbon is facing outways, because I need the lines to be on the inside of the fabric. So I'm just going to do that, place that there, then make sure this is positioned precisely again how it was. Realign the pattern piece for the accuracy. Line up the dart. Oh, snip the dart. Oh yeah, there it is. Sorry, the notch, not the dart. There we go. So this one's ready. So I'm just going to put that weight on there. I'm going to use this ruler and my trusty wheel. You have to press quite hard. You can see I just go back and forward a little bit. Both ways. This way. Oops, good. Let's check that's worked on the inside. Yes, beautiful. So now I'll just move that to the waist dart, realign everything again, do a triple check that's sitting correctly. A little bit of weight there. And once again, use the line as a guide. let's see. Let's remove the carbon and the pattern piece. You might not be able to see it very clearly. See the dotted lines there on both sides. So it's just a matter of pinning those together in readiness for the dart preparation. Okay, so just a quick check-in. I have measured twice and cut once, and now I'm ready to sew. So I'm going to take my bits and go to the sewing machine. Come along with. So the first thing to do is to sew all the darts. So there's 4 on the front of the bodice, 2 bust darts and 2 waist darts. So just sewing along that line that I copied across with the little wheel and the carbon paper. I carefully lined that up so the 2 copied lines are joined up. Keeps it simple. Straight off the end and leave a thread to tie off. I'm just going to tie each of those darts off because we didn't do a back stitch. It's literally get the 2 threads and tie a little knot. If your fingers will let you do it, that is. It's a bit tricky. It's a bit tricky when trying to film. Now, just checking the instructions, and it's time to iron or press down those darts, and just doing a double check. That's fine. And we press the darts down, the bust darts down towards the ground, and the waist darts towards the outside of the garment. So the way to do it is, if you've got a ham or even a rolled up towel, you just locate it so that it's sitting and resting on the side of the ham. Give it a press on the inside first, and reaching that to the point. I'm trying not to wobble the camera, sorry. Just press that. I've already checked that the iron is the right temperature and that it isn't sticking. Done all that checking. This goes down towards the waist level. So just give that a press, and then the last one. Press that down. That's tricky. Okay, so we've just got to do it this way, and remember to press it that way. I've tied off all those strings. The loose threads, I haven't cut them, but I will do that later when I'm happy with the location of the darts. So just give it a quick press on the other side as well, on the correct side, on the front. Again, using the ham, and it makes the bust darts very secure to do it that way. So they're very rounded. I don't know if you can see that on that side, it's black. And this side is, well, not very clear, is it? But the idea being that that's a rounded surface now, and that will cup the bodice. Sorry, that will cup the bust. I'm just going to sew around the pockets and insert the pockets into the side seams. Then I'm going to sew the skirt front to the bodice front, and then I'll check back in. that's sewn onto the front piece, and I just overlock that part of the seam. I haven't done the whole seam, and I have pinned the bodice, to the skirt. You see there the waist darts there, if you can see that. Pin that, ready to sew. Right, now it's about the back. So align the back skirt to the back bodice at the waist with the right sides together, and a straight stitch at 1 inch seam allowance. The rest is 3/8. So this is for the casing for the elastic. Finish the raw edge with a serger or overlocker, and being careful not to remove the seam allowance. So keep all that space to be able to thread the elastic. So here goes. Show you properly. So I've done the joining of the seam between the back and the back top and the back skirt, left 1 inch seam allowance, did the overlocking on there, and then sewed that down with a straight stitch. So we've ended up with this channel. Can you see that there? And it's where the elastic's going to go. I couldn't actually find in my stash 1/2 inch elastic, which is asked for, but I've got, I think it's actually 2 centimeters. So that's 5, it's actually 1.5 centimeters. It's 5/8 of an inch. Anyway, I don't know if we can even get the 1/2 inch here in Australia, but I've already got it in my stash. I use it for making trousers and things. So, and I'm pretty sure it's what I've used before. I have cut 17 inches. I know I'm switching between inches and centimeters. 17 inches is 43 centimeters. So I've cut 43 centimeters just by pulling it around my back and seeing if that feels secure. Plus I wrote down last time I cut 16, and I think it's a bit tight. So I will thread this through and then secure the 2 ends. You can find the beginning. Secure the 2 ends just with a straight stitch at the seam, but it will be within the seam allowance. And then I'll be ready to sew the side seams because I've done the front and the back joinings already. And when I do sew the side seams, I need to sew the pockets. Oh, hang on, hold the phone. I'm not sure this is going to fit in the channel. Let me just check, otherwise I'll have to think again and use some smaller elastic. Let's just see. Is it going to fit? Which is the best way to do it? Probably the one is, let's see, it's going to be a tight snug. It's going to be snug fit because it's ended up just over 2 centimeter channel. So I'll just do my best. Check back in a sec. Wow, that was really hard to do. It was really hard because it's so close to being the exact size. Anyway, I've put it all the way through. It looks great, I think. but we shall see how it goes on the body. And it's only a little bit of bringing inness, don't know what the word is, but I think that's good. And because what I've found with my previous ones that it pulls around the back a bit much, and I just went and checked my other ones, and I ended up only sewing between there and there for the elastic and didn't have it all the way to the waist. So I'm not sure what my reasoning was, and I never made notes. So, you know, I thought that I was good at making notes about what I've done and what I haven't done, but I don't think I am as good as I think. Anyway, the next step is to sew just one line in the middle of this elastic. I'm not going to do that. It's so tight and snug that I don't think it needs it. I think you would do that to stop it from rolling. Plus, the other aspect is this is anti-roll elastic that I had. As I said, I used it from my, I usually use this on tracksuit pants and things like that, where they're annoying when it rolls. So it's never going to roll. The little channel is so tight, it hasn't got a chance to roll. Plus, it's non-roll. So on with the next step. So next step is just sew the shoulders together, and then we're going to do the neck and the armholes and the side seams. We're nearly done. Right, neck facings. I cut two. In the instructions, they talk about the second one being a lining, but I've used the same fabric. I learned that lesson from a previous make of this because it pokes through a little bit and I'm not happy with it, and I don't want it to poke through. I want, if it does, at least if it's the same fabric, it won't be so bad. So I've lined these up, both of them, both copies, and I'm just stitching the shoulder seams, and then they'll both be ready to attach to the front and the back bodice. Right, well, I've sewn the shoulder seams together on both of the facings, and now we put the right sides together, matching the shoulder seams like this, and then we sew, where are we? Straight stitch, shoulder, and all that. Align facings, right sides together, matching shoulder seams. Straight stitch on the outside edge of the facings and trim the center point of the facing and clip into the curved section there. So I'll take you on this journey because this is probably the feature of the dress is the neckline. So I will, you can come with me and do this. How about that? Okay, just going to get on with sewing the outside of the facing with the standard 3/8 of a centimetre, 3/8 of an inch seam allowance, which is 1 centimetre, and I'll get on with that. Okay, so I've turned out and pressed the facing, which the decision in the instructions, they explain about facing applying the facing to the neckline, there's two ways. You can have the facing be on the outside of the garment and sew it down, and it will be a feature. I think if I was using a plain colour, I would do that. Or I'm taking the second option, which is to sew it down to the edge and then turn over, and it'll be hidden underneath the bodice. So I have pinned it ready to sew, and I'll just go ahead and sew that now. Under stitching. Sorry, focus in a second. Because I just found that it was rolling to the front, but I want the facing to roll to the back. So I've just understitched as far as I needed to. Then I've pinned this down, and I'm just going to sew this around. Then on the front of the garment, I'll be able to see that line of stitching around there. So I think it's a good solution. Okay, so I have pressed the facings and sewn them down, or sewn them down and then pressed them. Put my label in all the way around. So that's sitting nicely now. And I'm glad I didn't turn it the other way because I don't want the disruption to the pattern. And it's very busy. It would have been nice to have a plain facing on the outside, but that's okay. I wanted to take advantage of this lovely fabric. So the next is the armholes. Now the pattern only talks about if there's a sleeve, or if you've got sleeveless, then you will have a fully lined bodice, which is not what I wanted to do. Well, actually I think I thought of it too late, and I'd already cut out the facings. So I thought, well, I'll just do the bice binding around the armholes. So I'm going to do that now, and then I will do the side seams, which includes the pockets. Maybe I should try it on. Let's have a try on. Mess up my hair. So here it is. It fits well, mainly in the bust. That's the main area to consider. And the facing looks good. It's sitting lovely and flat. And at the back. And then I shall do around the armholes and do the side seams, pockets, and we'll be away. Oh, and the gathering, I think that looks as it's meant to. It's a empire, it's kind of an empire, not quite an empire. An empire waist goes right up under the bust, I think. So it's just lower. It's not actually on the waist. It's a bit higher. It's going to be amazing and cool in the really hot summer. So I've just got those three things to do. The armholes, or the sleeveless, side seams, and the hem. 3 things. Nearly done. So this is self bias binding out of the same fabric, and it's cut on the bias, so it's quite stretchy due to that, and it's 2 inches wide. So what we need to do is put right sides together and start at the shoulder point. So we'll just pin that there, and then I'll pin that all the way around the armhole opening, and just a tiny bit of give, because this is cut on the bias. We just need to ever so slightly, can you see me doing that? Ever so slightly pull the bias. Not a lot. It's not like putting bias. It's not like putting stretch on. It's just a little bit, and that'll help it sit correctly. So I shall pin that, then sew it, and I'll do the other side and come back to you. So it's time to snip and clip again. We're just going to take on the curves of the armholes where we've just sewn the bias binding, and we will snip that close again, just on the curved edges, which is essentially all the way around, except for just under the armhole. That's quite flat usually. So we should just do that on both sleeves, then fold over ready to sew down. I always give it a press before I sew it though, because we'll want it to sit flat. That's one side. And the other side. I'll just do the other side and iron it, and then we'll sew it down. Just going to press this using the ham again on the wrong side first, as always. You see the edges that are clipped there, and then turn it over to do the right side. Just make sure it's flat. Just pressing that. We're not actually ironing like this, we're just pressing the spot. Pressing that. It's nice and flat. Now we're just going to turn it over by a third, and then back over again, just over the stitching line. And then when we sew it down, we're going to stitch in the ditch, which is literally along there, and that'll finish it off nicely. Okay, armholes are done. And all ready now to do the side seams. So that is very simply pin those first, join up where the bodice meets the waist, join up where the pockets go, sew around there, and sew down all the way to the hem on both sides, and then we'll just have the hem. I believe it's a 2-inch hem, and the hem is folded up by 1 inch and then repeated, folded up by another inch, and then you just sew it. So I shall do that shortly, but meanwhile I will get on with this side seam. What I often do is do the side seam in a really, really large stitch. Now, the reason is so that if it needs to be taken in or let out, that's the time to do it. I don't do back stitch or anything. So then I will adjust that accordingly, and then before I do the final stitching of it and before I do the overlocking. I won't be doing that this time because this is the 3rd time I've made this dress and I'm quite comfortable with the size. Plus I've done that try on earlier, and I'm quite happy with the way it fits in regards to the width. So no need to do the big loopy stitches that I can easily pull out, the big stitch without a back stitch. So I shall sew it as a permanent sewing line and then overlock it, and then we shall be ready for the hem. Side seams and overlocked them. All done. And while I was at it, at the overlocker, I overlocked the hem. You see that? And now I folded, ironed it up. I'm not doing the full 2 inches. I'm just doing about 1 inch or 1 inch and a bit, and I will sew that down now, and then we'll be all done. Thanks so much for joining me in the sew with me the Sonata dress, the Love Notions Sonata dress. It's an oldie but a goodie for me. It's a bit of tried and true, and I've deviated a little bit from the pattern, not too much, mainly to capture all the fabric and to get everything out of the one piece, and I'm absolutely delighted with the end result. I think it looks really great, and it's going to be fantastic for wearing when it's very, very hot. And if this summer that is just finishing now in 2024, if this summer's anything to go by, then, and the future summers are going to be this hot, I'm going to need a few sonatas made out of very light fabric. So I'm really looking forward to wearing it. There'll be time still before the season finishes, before spring really kicks in, when I can wear it, and I can wear it with a little cardigan or a nice belt, or dress it up, dress it down. I'm very pleased with it, and I particularly had such a great time with you in the room with me. It really feels like you're here, and that that we're sewing together. So I hope you've enjoyed it. I've had a lot of fun myself, and I will hopefully get another sew along done or sew with me at some time. And until we do catch up again, I just encourage you to continue sewing, doing your best. You don't have to be amazing at it. You don't have to be perfect. It's a hobby. It is something that is a lot of fun. And if you take your time, follow the instructions, literally every word in the instructions is written there for a reason. And the modern day instructions are amazing. So just full encouragement for you to have a go, and yeah, see how you get on with it. And if it doesn't fit, nothing ventured, nothing gained. Then you'll be on my same journey of trying to get things to fit me. So yeah, thank you so much for joining me. I shall see you another time. Until I do, take good care, stay well, happy sewing, and bye for now. Bye.